And WAGNN stands for
We ain't got no name.
We ain't got no name. We ain't got no name. We ain't got no name. No name.
Hey y'all, welcome back to episode 2 of WAGNN. This episode, we're going to be talking about the controversial issues surrounding R. Kelly. I'm quite sure everybody is familiar with the Lifetime documentary series that's out on this whole issue that's going on. We're just going to go ahead and shine a different light on the traumatic experiences that some of these women and maybe even R. Kelly himself has been through. If you guys like our podcast, go ahead and hit like, or you can tune in at WAGNN Podcast.com. Don't forget to leave comments. If you like it, good, bad, indifferent, we'll take them.
One of the things I wanted to dig into was the documentary that just came on Lifetime. I think this was the second half of it. And I had to be honest, I had to stop at like maybe 20 minutes in. And I had to kind of sleep on the information that I received from this episode. One thing that stood out was his upbringing, how he was raised, and how the abuse started.
With him being sexually abused.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Being sexually abused. That kind of hurt my heart to hear any child being hurt in that way.
I think the history of the abuse, knowing that information, although he's wrong, kind of made me feel a sense of compassion for him, in a sense, not giving him a pass for what he's doing, but coming from the perspective of a clinician, you understand why. You have a better understanding of why and how he was failed.
Yeah.
How he was failed and how we ended up here, and the ripple effects of what happens when you do not get help, get the proper treatment, when things are just pushed under the rug, which, to be quite honest, that's just the thing of the Black community when it comes to sexual abuse. We don't address it.
Very true.
There's a lot of things we don't address,
Sweep it under the rug.
and one of those things we want to address is parenting. In the documentary, it speaks about, I think it was the oldest brother talking about how I guess R. Kelly or even the children received their first impression as to how to deal with abuse. They give an account of the person going to jail. There was some street justice that took place with the community. And then this person goes to jail, the violator. He bails out. And then there's a money exchange between the mom and the perpetrator. So if you think of this first incident, this is something that has continued to happen all throughout his career that we're finding out for the past 30 years. So when it comes down to parenting, what do you guys think about, the price that sometimes we pay when we don't learn certain lessons from our parents?
Our parents are our at least first influencers. Yes. And major influencers. Now, whether you have a good parent or not, some people can choose to go the opposite route of what they saw, whether that is good or bad.
Right.
But with that being said, there comes this fine line where I kind of tap dance on, where it's kind of like, as an adult, you still have a decision that you make.
Yes.
You know right from wrong.
Right.
Even the worst parents still instill some type of right or wrong in their child.
Even if it's dysfunctional.
Right. Whether it comes down to do what I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think people realize just how impactful the parents' actions are on the child.
Yeah. It's like if your child comes home and tells you that, Mr. Henry said something wrong to him. Matter of fact, I can give an example. I remember my mom telling me, well, if you are, playing in the street, having a good time with your friends, and you see something weird, you're to stop what you're doing and run home. And I remember seeing this man. He didn't look like the people in our community at the time. And he had on a black trench coat, black sunglasses in the middle of summer. And I'm riding my big wheel, just getting it on the street.
He probably was naked up under
Some
sick people around.
I saw this dude. I was like, why is this tall Caucasian man walking down my block in a black trench coat, black pants, and just walking? I got scared, so I bounced. I picked up my big wheel and I left. I was gone. I ran. And I'm like, Mommy, there's something wrong going on the street. And she was like, what? And then she saw him. She recognized him. She knew who he was. But at the same time, that was something she instilled in me. If you see something wrong, you run and you come home. So I know this may not be the same thing, but it just goes to when your parents instill certain things in you, you do have the opportunity to make a decision. Now, I was about 6 years old when this happened.
That's probably around the same time. Wasn't that the age that he got?
I think they said 7 or 8 years old.
7, 8 until 14. If
Right.
I'm not
by this
mistaken.
man? By the man?
By multiple people.
Oh no, something is just not
A
right.
man
in the
and a
household.
woman.
Like who is not paying attention to the kids? Where's the kids?
But you know what? I don't think
That's true.
it's a matter of not paying attention. I think that the guy that molested him, he was outside hanging out with friends, which probably it's not unusual.
It's not uncommon.
And that was a guy in the neighborhood that was giving candy
That everybody knew.
to everyone he knew. It's not abnormal for him to go to the house, but people can manipulate the mind of a child
real easy.
Absolutely.
so easily. Especially offer a child candy, they will do pretty much anything
Now.
and instill some fear in them on top of that.
Right. So here's my other question, right? When it comes down to parenting, what was the rule in your households when it came down to people giving you things?
We weren't allowed to accept it.
I wasn't allowed to take anything from someone I didn't know.
Anything. Not a cherry, not a
Right.
strawberry, not an orange, not a pecan, peanut. Nothing.
And growing up in my teenage years, my mother was like, and don't be accepting things from men neither.
Right.
Right.
Because if you can't pay it back, they're going to
Absolutely.
be looking for payment some other kind
Right.
of way.
But then he wasn't just molested by someone he didn't know. He was also molested by a family member.
Right.
Your parent don't tell you what not to take from a family member. They don't tell you don't accept the apple from your cousin or your dirty uncle or your dirty auntie. Like, that's the reality. They don't.
I don't know. Like,
That's just sad.
it-
that
it
your
is
uncle or
sad.
somebody is preying on you, though. Oh.
And it does not necessarily have to be just, again, it's not only guys, because I know plenty of men that say that they lost their virginity at the age of 10, 11, 12
Yeah.
to their
I know a few
adult
also.
babysitter.
Yeah.
Like,
I
what?
remember hearing men
Yeah.
say that too.
Women
Yeah.
are out here sexually abusing children too.
see, that's why my mama got to take care of my kids, because I ain't doing that.
Right. So sometimes I think it goes to, it's easy to say, like, the parent wasn't watching them or they're not neglectful. But, like, for instance, R. Kelly's mother, from my understanding, she was also a single mom. So if she's going to work,
She need
you
help.
can't be in two places at
Right.
once. You're
Right.
entrusting them with certain people. You don't know.
Well, that's, again, right? I'll take the point of view of the parent. I'm always going to jump in and bring it back to the parent as a way of letting people know out in the world what not to do and how not to be trusting. So it's okay to work. You have to work, right? It's your bread and butter. And you have to feed your children. You have to pay the rent, the mortgage, and things like that. However, perpetrators, they seek out those type of children who they know their parents have to work. So it's like, it's a double-edged sword. You're going to do what you have to do for your family, but you still cannot raise your children the way you would typically want to, because you cannot be there. Right. So there's always going to be room for something like that. Mm-hmm. That's why when you become a parent, you're supposed to plan it out. I know that's not what happens all the time. However, if you plan things, not saying life is going to be perfect, not saying people don't screw up and hurt other people. However, if you can minimize the risk, you could save your child's life and not put them in danger.
And even still, sometimes, it can be a very close family, but someone like you trust with your whole heart, and they violate your child. And again, the things that perpetrators are able to say to children, to the fear that they are able to put in children, and the manipulation. Like, I've heard stories where I worked in the foster care system for a little bit, and I've heard stories where children were saying, my uncle, my cousin, my aunt told me that if I let them know, they're going to do this to me, or they're going to do this to my sibling or my mom, or no one's going to believe me. So it's that inner conflict within that child. Right. So they're like, okay, I almost got to save my family because I don't know what's going to happen if they're going to follow through on what they say.
Well, that's what the clinical psychologists, they had some really astounding people on the show. That's what they said. When you manipulate a child like that, especially if you're a revered person in the community or if you're a family member, it creates a confusion within that child. It's like things are happening to you, natural things that happen to a person when they're older. However, when you're a child and these things happen, it's like it feels good, but it's not. It's not good. And it's not supposed to be with this particular person. And I'll also say perpetrators are typically somebody you do know. People think it's a stranger or somebody off the street. It happens. But a lot of times perpetrators are the ones right there in your own backyard that you do trust.
Because people in school, they drive stranger danger.
The
person the person that can be close. You see that as adults. The person that you closest to can stab you in your back. The
Easily.
Person that you are close. We saw that with R. Kelly. R. Kelly was willing to tell his brother, "You take the rap for me,
right?
So I don't. What? You supposed to be my brother, and you want me to lose
everything,
my life because of what you did,
right?" And that's why there's so many layers to this. And to the people listening, by no means are we going to victim shame. We're not parent shaming. And we're not going to necessarily persecute R. Kelly on this podcast due to the fact that he was a molested child, and how we feel about victims. Victims become victims because, or I should say, hurt people hurt other people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Hurt people hurt other people. So if a person is being harmed or hurt, the trauma that surrounds that person, it actually stops their brain from functioning to a certain degree, like from aging. Yeah. If you go through a traumatic experience at the age of 7, when you turn 25, your brain isn't necessarily 25 years old or thinking like a 25-year-old.
So in certain instances, what will happen is that 7-year-old will come screaming out in certain circumstances where it's like, what the fuck? I mean, like,
I mean, some of us are feeling like that. Like, what the F,
Right. Like, you're being, like, you're acting like a child. Yeah, you brought that inner child right back out. That her child is, they don't know how to cope with it.
And when you're traumatized, and each time he probably had these sexual encounters, do you think he was re-traumatizing himself?
I don't know what R. Kelly was doing, to be quite honest with you. I think he probably assumed the role of the old man that molested him. He calling himself the Pied Piper. What is a Pied Piper? They go around luring children.
Yo, I did not know that.
You didn't know the story of the Pied Piper?
Man, I ain't read that story. I don't know nothing about no Pied Darn Piper. I read Miss Nelson is Missing.
Oh,
I read some other stuff, but I didn't read a lot of fairy tales. I mean, I knew about Cinderella and things like that, but I ain't know nothing about no Pied Piper.
I read the Cinderella books and stuff like that. 'Cause my parents was like, "You ain't watching Disney, 'cause they ain't got no people of color. You could watch Aladdin, you could watch Lion King and Pocahontas. We gonna get you some black Cinderella books, but that's neither here nor there."
It's not. We digressed. All right, what was you saying? The Pied Piper, I can't.
Nah, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't know what his brain is thinking, because all I can remember is we grew up on his music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about all this when he first came out, when Aaliyah first came out, hearing that they were married, and we were like, huh? What? What's going on?
Since when? She like almost, well,
They downplayed that and got her away from him real quick. You
Really
know what I mean?
fast.
But how come it wasn't nipped in the bud then?
I don't know.
How come it was brushed underneath the rug then? If everybody already knew that this dude, and they was already giving him the side eye for marrying a 15-year-old, how come nobody said something? You still allowed this man to push through, make his millions of dollars, and continue to doing the same thing.
Well, everybody has something to gain in that situation.
Yeah.
That's true too.
So, you know, some people, they will choose the money, the lifestyle,
Right.
over the morals.
So we call those people bystanders, right? When I talk to audiences about bullying, something like that, you know, we teach people how not to be a bystander, a bully bystander, how not to just allow things to happen, but to do something about it, because you kind of become just as guilty. If we talked about, you know, guilty by association, you kind of guilty by association, because there's no way no one knew.
The whole team is then guilty by association.
Well, yeah.
Because you knew and you saw what was going on. What, he was all by himself the whole time?
I don't think dude was by himself.
No, I think some people participated in it too.
I think so too.
I think some people were sexually active with these young girls. It wasn't
I think
just
so
him.
too.
But there's no money in it to name those names, because they was all payroll by the big money maker.
Right.
So there's nothing to gain to say. And I can't like rock with that.
It's
And
sad
I
though
think-
what money do, what money makes you do.
I think as far as him like being a Pied Piper, I don't think he necessarily, I mean, he called himself that, but I think age aside, for him to decide I'm going to engage in a sexual act with multiple women, let's take away their age, even if they were all above the age of 18. Take into account he was molested by a man. So now imagine the battle with his sexuality that he could have potentially been going through. Okay, so now I got molested by a man. So to make myself feel better,
I'm gonna
Be a whore.
I gotta lay it low and spread it wide.
right. You gotta spread the cotton.
you gotta share all of that cotton. Okay.
Yeah, to
You know what that has to do as a man to be like, I got violated. My first sexual experience was with a man.
Yeah. Yeah. To substantiate your manhood, you create a persona of a sexuality to women. Young, old, indifferent, cute, pretty, challenging.
I would really
a
like to
lot.
know what kind of a hold he really had on these girls.
You
You know
know-
what I mean? Like, you was scared of him?
See, now, according to the documentaries, you get mixed signals. You get people who was able to walk out the door, and then you have people who were like afraid. So I didn't get a full picture as to if he like, you know, held a gun in your head, like, you ain't going nowhere. You got to finish and spread them wide and, what'd you say?
Lay it low and spread it wide.
Spread them wide and lay low.
Lay it low and spread
Bring
it
your little
wide.
cousin over. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't clear on if somebody was held against their will. Now, we can go in a different direction and say mental manipulation
Will hold you.
will keep you bound and will not allow you to leave because a person has a hold on your mindset.
Right.
And how you feel about yourself. Because
or maybe they know something about you that they keep pressing.
But think about it. If you go to a ranch, right, where they like have competition horses, right? It's enclosed by a short gate. Right. All the horses will stay on the gate. These horses can hop over stuff. Yes. They will stay in the gate.
Yeah, that's what you call.
Because you got to mentally break them in. You
broke them in. By multiple things.
Because there was one lady that said, I couldn't leave. I got out because I walked out the door. The option to walk out the door was always there for her. I don't know about for everyone else, but it was always there for her. His concern was not, let me kidnap you. I'm trying to hold you hostage. His thing was, you can leave. I'm just trying to make sure you shut up.
Well, we have to also remember perpetrators are also predators. They have a predatory type of way of thinking, living, and seeking out their prey. They're very methodical. May not be clean. Some of them are sloppy, but for the most part, there's a method to the madness. And I lean towards the fact that he knew who to choose. He knew who would go for it because they said in the documentary, like, if they made it to the house, if he took them to the house, then he knew that he had them. But if he never took them to the house, then he didn't bother with them too much anymore. So he had his picking and choosing. All right, let's go back to the horses. You have your ranch. You have all these horses on the ranch running in one circle, but you know which horse is going to do the most. You know the horse that is a stallion-like type of horse. Your winner, the ones that are going to do what you say do when you say do it. Like use the bathroom in the room with a bucket. You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you this. I'm going home to my toilet.
I would have been throwing up all over the place.
I have a whole toilet at my house.
But wasn't he telling them when to eat and when not to eat?
And to eat. Did they have a choice in what to eat? That's my question.
I don't even know. I don't understand how it just got so out of hand. I'm over here just mind boggled. I don't understand what is going on. Especially these young girls. Why are you up in the studio with grown men?
All times of the night, though.
In season 2, episode 1, the first girl before Aaliyah, the first girl, she said that, she didn't really have much supervision. There was a lot going on at home.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, I'm out, and no one's checking for me. So
there you go. You know who to choose.
That was his perfect target.
Perfect target.
And then the other one, and then as far as other girls, it's kind of like, I want to sing. Daddy, I want to sing. All right.
Not Mama, I want to sing, but Zaddy,
I want to sing.
Zaddy, I want to sing.
And he's like, all right, come on.
Yeah. But was there ever any singing going on?
By the looks of things, no.
Initially, there was.
By the looks of things, no.
Matter of fact, one of the
girls
said,
whoop, and that was it.
The girls that's still with him, she posted for her birthday. It was on the 30th. She posted a video of her. No, the week before her birthday, she posted a video of her singing. Beautiful voice.
Wow. So these were talented young ladies, just misguided, misdirected, and just yearning to sing. I don't even know if it was
misguided or misdirected more than it was just manipulated. Because I think, at least, I can't speak for R. Kelly and his team, but I think with the parents, the intentions were
to get a singing career.
Yeah. And when you package it up with, I think they said with Azriel, he was like, okay, she needs to commit to singing full time. We'll provide a guardian for her. She'll show up for graduation. She'll be on top of her schoolwork. All that stuff is going according to plan. Why would you question that?
Who's providing the guardian?
He did.
No,
none of our mothers would have went for that.
I mean, no, but some parents are like, this is my baby's dream.
Yeah, running down fame, and you don't cause your baby pain.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's bars.
But
seriously.
I think because the parents are getting a lot of slack for this. I don't think they didn't foresee any of this happening.
I agree with them not foreseeing things. But I have another example to say, I don't know about that. So I went to a Migos concert, and I think Migos, Chris Brown, and some other artists. And it was a really good concert. But everybody was smoking in the concert. right? And my son, who's 12, at the time, he loved those artists. And he was like, Mom, can you take me to a Migos concert? I said, absolutely not. No, because that particular concert is inappropriate for my 12-year-old son.
Yeah.
It may not be inappropriate for somebody else's son, but it's inappropriate for my son and the rules. Now, not to say my child is not in a bubble. We have open conversations. Whatever question they want to ask me, I will answer it so that they have that comfortability to speak with me. That's just me. But I made a decision. Nah, B, you can't go to no Migos concert. You can play the clean version if you can find it, but you can play that. Number 2, I'll admit I've been to 2 R. Kelly concerts. Okay? 2 of them. And I enjoyed them, not knowing what I know now, but I'm sitting here doing the bogle to some of the music, and you know what I'm saying? And I'm singing the words.
You be doing the bogle to?
It was a slow roll. It was a slow rock vocal. A slow rock?
A body roll.
A body roll?
A nice body roll.
Whatever, yo. So I was doing a body roll, and, I saw the show, and it was a very... in my eyes at the time, and I was maybe about 20-something, maybe like my early 20s, early 20s. And I was like, well, darn, this is pretty provocative. Oh, it was sexy too. Oh, this is kind of sensual. And I'm looking at my homegirl like, why are we here with each other? Like, we should have been here with our men, you know what I'm saying? So long story short, I won't say who, but somebody asked me to go to the Best of Both Worlds tour.
Oh, that lasted.
Darn, it was my mama. My mama asked me.
I was about to say, I already knew who.
My mama asked me on a mommy-daughter date.
She loved herself some aura.
Some aura, right? So she goes, I want to go to the Best of Both Worlds tour. And I was like, what? I said, you sure? She was like, yeah. I said, Ma, it's going to be R. Kelly and Jay-Z. Like, it's not just an R. Kelly concert. She was like, I know, but I want to hear him sing the spiritual stuff, like I believe I can fly. And I was like, yeah, ain't going to be no flying up in there, Ma.
A different type of flying.
A different type of flying, trust. So I was like, all right, I'll go. So I'm singing along with Fiesta and getting it. And then next thing you know, they start throwing the lighters up. And I was like, oh, snap, it's about to get funky now. And then what happens? Smoke just filled the arena. So I'm just like, oh, my gosh. So as we're exiting, I'm like, so how'd you like the concert? She was like, why did he have to hump so much? He was humping the air for about 2 minutes. I said, I told you you wasn't going to like it. So I was like, all right, so we leave. And then she's like, I'm walking I feel a little dizzy. I said, you feel dizzy? I said, oh my gosh. She done caught contact.
Your mama's hi.
So I was like, okay. So in hindsight, looking at it, when my own mother asked me to attend this concert, I was just like, are you sure? So I'm thinking, like, I'm not blaming the parents, but do you think that was the best idea? And then to have your daughter on stage with him?
Here's the thing. On the flip side.
Flip it.
Now, my parents wouldn't have agreed to me going to an R. Kelly concert because of R. Kelly's history.
Right.
Right? Because once that whole Aaliyah thing came out, it's like, you're not going to an R. Kelly concert. Well, I wasn't an R. Kelly fan anyway. Like, he cool, whatever. But I wasn't like, no, yes, I got to go see R. Kelly. Never. But when I was around 11, 12, maybe 13 might be pushing it, I was a huge Nelly fan. Huge Nelly fan. My father took me to see Nelly and Snoop at the arena, and it was okay. Nassau Coliseum was gray the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I went to go see the Best of Both Worlds tour. Darn it.
And I think it goes back to knowing your child. So again, my R. Kelly's off the table, and you definitely not going on stage with R. Kelly.
Absolutely.
But I was able to go to a Nelly concert. I was able to listen to music with profanity. But because my father's like, I'm not censoring my music. He said, I like my dirt filthy. Like, I'm not censoring my music because at the end of the day, this is the world you're going to be involved with. So we need to have an open and honest conversation about what things are and so that you can navigate this world
Right.
and make your own decisions. Now, if you are at this age and you acting out like that, understand there's going to be consequences to your actions with me. But
Right.
also understand at every age there's going to be a consequence to your action. So it goes back to knowing your child. Some decisions, again, was it a lapse in judgment to let your child go on stage with R. Kelly? I think so.
Yeah.
The parents, I could not tell you why they allowed that, because I wouldn't have felt comfortable.
No.
The history alone.
Just seeing that concert,
Actually,
Deja.
the only
you wouldn't
person
have.
I would have felt comfortable, like, how old was she? She was young, so you might be able to go on stage with Chris Brown. But R. Kelly, you can't even do a 2-step with Jay-Z.
Nah.
On stage. I don't care who it is. You don't
Yeah.
need to be. My kids, I don't have kids, but when I have kids, they can't sit on Santa Claus lap.
No, I was never a fan of that either. Or
You
the
can't
Easter
sit on
Bunny.
Santa Claus lap. What
Yeah.
you need to sit on this
We
old
weren't
man?
allowed to sit on any man's lap.
No.
Yeah, mommy wasn't having that.
Yeah,
No.
that wasn't
I
happening.
don't have not one picture with Santa Claus.
So let's discuss knowing your children. You know, knowing your children is very important. You know, you have, especially when you have multiple children, or even one child. It's important to continuously get to know your child. You know them at birth. You have to get to know them again as a toddler. You get to know them again as preschool age. You get to know them again over and over. You never stop learning your child. You know, and when you take on that particular approach, I'm not saying that hardships won't arise, but you kind of understand how certain things could affect your child. You can kind of foresee it a little bit. You may not be 100% accurate. It's like if you have a child and you cuss at them, even though that's verbally abusive, let's put that out there. But if you have a child and you curse at them, there's one child that's going to like take it like, all right, cool. I know not to do that because this is how mommy listens. This is how mommy talks. This is how it goes down. And I know when she say that cuss word, she's pissed, so I'm going to chill. And then you have a child, you may have a different child growing up in the same household that would interpret that type of conversation differently. They may suffer internally and have low self-esteem and feel that mommy or daddy or whomever don't love them. So it's like you have to understand the type of children that you have as they grow up, because people change. People change.
I have a younger sister. My parents could not parent us the same way.
No.
It comes to everything. They couldn't discipline us the same way. It just
Right.
we're two different people.
Right. So in this particular piece, it's like, one, protect your children at all costs. If you don't have to work so much, please try not to, so you can make sure that you're there for your children. The other thing is like, know your child. They're forever evolving, and you have to know your child, what they can accept versus what they can't accept. And then, if you can, ladies and gentlemen, plan your pregnancies, yo.
And if
Plan.
something or some type of trauma happens, seek counseling.
Seek counseling and seek help. Don't keep things
bottled
up.
And then it plays out on one of these R. Kelly CDs or videos.
But it's kind of strange because even with you can plan the pregnancy, and things can still happen.
Absolutely.
Like divorce, like things.
Anything can happen.
Anything.
And
I'm saying anything can happen because you can't be with your child 24/7.
no, you can't.
You gotta let them out into the world, and
Right.
that's scary. I don't have children, and that's scary.
Right. I have two.
Can I just say, maybe it's the whole thing with these girls wanting that fame and wanting to be famous.
Right.
That propelled them into that. What are you going to tell somebody that's an aspiring singer?
Right. You
You
can't
know what
sing.
I'm saying? And you have access to
Sorry.
R. Kelly. Oh, I can go hang around R. Kelly. How
Right.
about we teach the kids that sometimes you gotta be ready for the consequences that come along with wanting fame.
Right.
Wanting fame and money. Just because it glitz and it glamours on the screen, you don't know what it took for that person to get there.
Absolutely.
You don't know the hardships that they went through,
right,
or maybe the suffering or the pain or the abuse that they went through to get up on that screen and glitz and glamour for you.
Isn't that a part of one of the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor, because it can create unnecessary consequences because you're willing to do exactly what it takes. So I guess the question is too, when you want something so bad, like a singing career, you want something to work so bad, can you lose your intuitive thought?
Yes.
Like your gut feeling?
Well, here's the thing about it. So
we
talking about with children, I'm gonna just stick to children underage. I'm not far removed from being a child. First of all, let me start it out by saying that. Okay.
She's saying she's young, guys.
Children aren't exactly working with a full deck of cards.
Right. So I guess that question is for the adults.
You have the prefrontal cortex is not even fully developed. That's the decision-making part of the brain. That doesn't fully develop until you're 25. So children are very impulsive. So they're not looking down the line.
Right.
They're not seeing the potential consequences. That's when a responsible adult of some sort, and the fact of the matter is, it may not be the parent, because there are some irresponsible parents. There needs to be a responsible adult somewhere, and they're kind of reeling them back, like, hold on, wait a minute, because they don't know. As far as the fame, anyone could kind of fall into that. If you even as an adult, you can fall into it, and that's why I posed the question. There are 50-year-olds still trying to drop mixtapes. Like, bruh, what you rapping for?
You trying to tell them give up their dream?
Right.
You need a pension in the plan.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Yeah. So so I guess, the question is also, when you want something so bad, do you forego your morals, your core beliefs?
I don't think you forego it. I think people get so caught up in the excitement and the potential and the possibilities that they kind of ignore that gut feeling that something ain't right.
Yeah.
They ignore that.
So I guess the question is yes.
Yeah, they kind of ignore. And not to know for it's exciting. Like, let me tell you something.
Absolutely.
When Michael Jackson was alive.
Right.
If I got an invitation to Neverland, granted, my parents probably wouldn't have let me go. But if they would have been like, yes, I would have been like, come on, where's Bubbles?
Let me tell you what. Let me tell you what. Neverland. What's Netherland or never?
Never.
Like never. We're never going. Ever. Okay. Man, listen. So let's because we had this conversation before about Neverland Ranch and what some of those parents allowed their children to do. There was a story where this woman couldn't find her child for 6 hours. Are you kidding me?
Well, where was Mama?
She was drinking wine somewhere, getting litty.
Neverland.
Listen, I had voice lessons. My brother was sitting on the couch. Okay? I had swimming lessons. My mother was sitting on the lawn chair. Okay?
That's how it should be.
All right? Track practice. Where was she? Outside waiting for me. I think our family, and this is why I say planning or having some type of plan of action when you have children, or more than that, a supportive community, and I know some of the perpetrators can be in your community. However, still having a community provides some type of checks and balances.
So what do you do for those people that just don't have access to that?
They better join a church or something.
Because, there's people that just don't have, like, for instance, forget abuse aside.
Right.
Even something like, okay, your child is in some type of sport, extracurricular activity, whether it's football, basketball, dance, whatever. Okay, to keep them out of trouble, I'm going to send them there. I got to go to work, but that's giving me peace of mind. But your presence as a parent is still not there.
It's still not there.
But I'm doing something to keep them productive and off the streets or whatever.
You can do extracurricular activities, but nobody said you have to be spending the night at nobody's house.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody said you got to have, like, your practices all of a sudden 18 hours long when it's usually an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Like, these are the warning signs, like, okay, something's not right. It's the changes. But if you're busy putting food on the table, and again, there's no fault in that, But if you're busy putting food on the table, you may not pay attention to that, and you may start trusting people who you wouldn't normally trust because you're working, and you can't leave the child unattended. So it is a catch-22. What we're trying to provide is just some solutions to help you make better choices as parents and as women, as men, and just as human beings. Sometimes we have to make better decisions, and sometimes that starts from having a seed. It starts there because
take care of them babies.
You gotta take care of those children. I mean, thankfully we've been fortunate enough, and we know people who are fortunate enough to have a supportive system, maybe 2 parents in the household. But we also knew, we have friends of ours who came up in a single parent household, and it worked.
Right.
It did. However, in this particular situation, we talking about people who are seeking something so bad, wanting something so bad that
they end up becoming preyed on.
But that's why I said there needs to be a responsible adult somewhere in the mix to reel people in. Like, for instance, I feel as a parent, you have to talk to your children. So as a child, I was very confident that something happens to me, I'm going to run to my parents, and my parents are handling it. Guns blazing, whatever they got to do, they handling it.
Nothing was happening to you because you talk too much.
I'm known as the family tattletale.
Because we talk too much.
I am the family tattle. I will run and tell it. Don't ever commit a crime with me, around me. I'm telling. Till this day, at 31 years old, I am telling. I will sell you up the river. I need my friends to hear me.
Word.
You will go to jail, and I will not come and visit you, but I will tell on you to keep myself out, okay? I will Tekashi 6ix9ine all of you.
Tekashi.
Okay? Because I don't play like...
Right. So for the parents out
consequences
there,
that
she doesn't. She's not lying.
No.
I won't even cut my toenail in front of her. Forget it. She's going to tell on me. So for the parents out there that are raising young children and may have to work, these are some of the tricks that I've used. 1, you always make sure your children know the correct names of their body parts.
Ooh.
Always. Don't call it the little kitty. Don't call it the little ninny. Don't call it the little rod stick or the baseball bat and balls. Call it exact. Yeah.
Do you know? I will never
call
forget.
it what it is.
I was in college, and this girl that I was on a team with, she was talking about a guy that she had sex with, and she was like, yeah, he put his penile in me. We're like, what?
What is that?
What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. His thing. What? Say it.
A stick?
His thing. I'm like, you are in your 20s. Mm-hmm. You don't feel comfortable saying penis. There's something fundamentally wrong with you.
That too.
At 20-something years old. Because if somebody touches you, because it happens when it can happen when you're an adult. You can't go to the cops saying, he stuck his penile, his thing. And you're like, what? Just made me mad.
The cop's going to turn you around and give you a swift kick out the precinct. Absolutely. Yeah, in order to engage in sexual activity, you should be able to name all body parts and discuss it in a conversation if needed. And the reason why I say that is because, I taught my sons their body parts, straight up. So if they ever had to talk to me in a sentence and say penis straight off the bat, I knew something was wrong. Because there's no reason for my sons to have a conversation with penis or vagina in it.
Yeah,
there's no reason to talk about it.
Right.
That's what people reserve the sex talk for 12, 13, 14.
It's too late.
It's like the sex talk is an ongoing conversation age appropriately. So that means
age appropriately,
when your child is young, before they hit the school, they should know the proper names for their body parts.
Because they're going to figure it out.
They should know, if someone's touching them inappropriately, this don't feel good touch, bad touch, all of that
touch,
stuff.
Bad touch.
They should know
absolutely.
that.
They should know that.
Lord, I don't want to think about stuff like that. I don't want to think about them conversations right now because I might have to hurt somebody.
Well,
I really might have to hurt somebody.
And then they should feel comfortable being able to come to you. They should know
Absolutely.
that regardless of whatever, if something happens, they can go to you. They don't have to worry about the consequences. It's okay. Your parents going to have your back. Because one thing that did bother me was with Azriel, they left her sister to be the one to take her to go see R. Kelly. They held the sister. She's still with him, and they dropped her off in the corner. She didn't tell her parents because they're like, oh, if you say something, we're gonna do something to your family. You're gonna do something to your parents. My parents gonna do something to you. What's up?
Come
I'm telling. What's up?
And that's also what I've told my children.
Bang.
You know, because I know that people, perpetrators can threaten a child and they think it's true. But I'm going to beat you to the punch. I already schooled my sons. Mommy is nuts. Mommy will go down for you at any cost. And if someone says that they're going to hurt me, you already know mommy is crazy. So that's not going to happen. So if somebody was to approach my children and say that, they're going to be like, good luck. I want to see you try that. You know what I mean?
When I was in pre-K, I don't know why I got so many stories. I was in pre-K. This little boy looked up my skirt and he ended up being my best we reconnected in high school. He ended up being my best friend. He passed away, but he looked under my skirt when I was in pre-K, and I told my parents. I told my parents. My father came up to that school and walked up to him, grabbed him, and was like, "If you ever touch my daughter again, I'm gonna break your neck." My father got kicked out of the school because you can't threaten children.
You can't threaten children.
But my father was like, "I don't care. This is my daughter. Can you If I had no problem telling on a little kid and my father reacting, I know for sure if I talk about a grown man till this day, if I come to him about a man violating me.
Parents also have to be approachable, because you can talk to me about anything, and then you react a certain way and
make them standoffish.
And I had to learn that lesson, because when I get the phone call to come deal with something, they know I'm going to handle it.
You going to handle it.
I wasn't silent for crickets. I was silent because I can't say no more.
Yep.
You know? And the thing is, I did change my approach. Like, my stance still stands. You know, I am going to handle it, but I couldn't allow my children to see my reactions all the time. I had to kind of be a little bit calmer. I can be steaming on the inside, red hot. However, I had to keep an even keel, an even demeanor, because I didn't want them to be afraid to tell me. Because they was going to grandma, like, "Grandma, let me tell you what happened." "What did you tell your mother?" You know, if I tell mommy what's going to happen, she's going straight there. She's going to handle it. She's going to talk to whomever, and she's going to fix it whichever way it needs to be fixed. So I'll still do that. However, my approach as to how I deal with them and how I listen to them had to be different. I couldn't fly off the handle like an angry woman and say, "Oh, I'm going to do it." No, now I've learned to just sit there, really. Okay. So how would you like mommy to deal with this? With my crazy smile. Those who know me know that crazy smile. And they go, "Well, I just want to talk to you about it." Now, as the parent, I still have the authority to go deal with the situation, and I always will. However, they didn't need to see me in that way, because I didn't want to scare them off from being able to discuss things with me. So for parents out there, when you say that you want to be an open book with your children, your actions also have to follow through with what you're saying. You have to listen, and listening is not the easiest thing to do when you're emotional. Active listening, attending. Yes. Did that really happen? Tell me more. You have to get all the facts before you react.
I don't know if I don't see my parents wanting to get all the facts and being calm. If I returned back home from Chicago without my sister,
different. But now I know your mother.
What? Oh, mama?
You couldn't even leave the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I couldn't leave nothing. I couldn't even leave the block. Notice, I really don't have much to say except keep your children near you, okay? Mm-hmm. Keep them near and be extra vigilant because the perpetrators are they resting everywhere.
They resting everywhere.
And they watching.
Right.
I was sitting here thinking about those Olympic girls that was molested by their doctor. You know what I'm saying? You ain't thinking the doctor gonna do something to you.
You don't.
You're not thinking that.
And here you are, like the jumpingest person in the world, and you molested by the doctor,
chasing that Olympic dream,
chasing your Olympic dream. But at the same, I think they were blindsided, just like all these other girls.
All these other people were. Yeah, I don't think you go in thinking like, oh, hold on, let me make sure that.
And I feel like even with R. Kelly's history, I still feel like a part of them felt like, okay, that's not gonna happen to me.
Right.
This is gonna be something different. Because even people be like, okay, when they deal with a physically abusive man, no, he's not gonna abuse me. He's not gonna touch me because I'm not like her. He knew how to pick it, and then he knock you upside your head
because he knew how to pick it.
You know what? I had a question about his ex-wife. Like I never understood her whole position because in the pieces that I saw in the documentary last night, it's like. You're talking about this man. Here you are listening to this grown man spill his guts about this and what happened and what happened, blah, blah, blah. So you as a wife, you didn't help this man seek help?
Man, she was locked up too in a room.
She sure was.
Begging for food.
Had to get permission to come out.
Lord have mercy.
Begging
I don't
for
know
food.
what was going on up inside.
Well, in comparison to everybody else, did she at least get the best kind of food because she was the wife, or did she eat what everybody
else? At this
leave the
point,
room
I just
without
don't
permission.
even know anymore. I just don't know. I
crazy.
just need documentaries to have him
she's
talking
one,
on.
like, I am different because I'm married to him, and then found out you ain't different. You just got a ring.
You just
got a ring.
Yeah, but you still locked up in a room, and you had children.
You just got a ring to distract from the fact that he out here wilding.
You called her his beard.
Yes.
To cover up the nonsense.
Yes,
But she was one of his dancers, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think
So
she was
wait
a
a
dancer
minute,
for him.
man.
She was his dancer.
She was dancing in videos and stuff for him, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I can say this, right? At times, there's times where you just don't know. Things are happening around you and you just don't know. I think that's possible.
With your husband?
Not with my husband.
Oh, because she was married to him.
Well, I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about probably initially, let's say the first victim, even though she was walking in and out the room and she saw her friends having sex with everybody. No, that's not a good example. Wait, hold on. I'm going to find one.
Maybe Aaliyah?
I don't know.
Damon Dash was quite emotional.
He was quite emotional about
First
it.
of all, Dame Dash is emotional anyway.
He's an emotional being.
He was a little bit emotional on that one.
But I think that's because when you love someone, you don't want to, even finding out they're hurt no matter years ago.
Yeah.
It still hits you.
So let's say,
because I've experienced that with someone. Someone told me something and I was like, fell apart.
You was devastated by it.
And I didn't even know the existence when this happened.
I was devastated when I learned I couldn't step in the name of love, and I'm sitting here thinking I'm stepping in the name of love, and I'm stepping in the name of lust.
Oh, so y'all don't listen to his music?
Man, I like Step in the Name of Love. That's one of my favorite records. Like I can two-step to
Chocolate
that
Factory
every
was
day.
a good album.
12 Play was a good
I
album.
like that double disc CD was good too.
Yeah.
12 Play is my all-time favorite. Though.
Yeah.
Chocolate Factory is mine, but that's because I'm a 50-year-old woman at heart.
You know what? But I tell you the one song that boggled me. You Remind Me. And those lyrics, I was like, I don't get it. And maybe because I was 20 something at the time, and I was like, I don't get it.
Reminding of his Jeep, his Power Wheels.
I mean, in hindsight, yeah, I guess. But that was one song that just kind of, I was just like, what? Who are you talking to? I just didn't vibe with it. Yeah, because I wasn't a child. Right. Exactly. But, yeah, I don't stream too much of anything per se. I listen to whatever my husband has. He's a streamer. But I can't say I'm going to actively look for it.
Yeah, like I said, I was never really a big R. Kelly fan, but for me, it's kind of like the issue I have with people, because we're in a big cancel culture.
Right.
We don't know these people, so I don't know why people become so hung up and devastated, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they did it. What makes you think that they're not capable of it? You don't know them.
They're
right.
human too.
Stars are human.
And we don't know them.
But you know what?
So people are like, oh, we hold them to a higher standard.
We do.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why?
I mean, maybe because of like the fantasy that you have in your head. Like you think that they're superstars, so they get what they want. They can go where they want. They can do what they want.
So that means they have more access to do something dirty.
So, ladies, let's discuss the grown women. Like we discussed the young ones. You know, we get that they were some of them were troubled teens. You know, lacking supervision, lacking guidance. You know, parents not around. But look, can we talk about the grown women who actively sought out this man? And
they weren't even trying to be singers.
They wasn't even trying to be singers.
They were just trying to be up under R. Kelly.
Right. So one girl from the documentary, I don't know her name, but she said that she just got out of a divorce. She just divorced her husband because he cheated. And then when she spoke to R. Kelly, he let her know what was up. Like, yeah, I got multiple women. She was like, well, at least he's honest. So I said, well, ma'am, where's your standards?
First of all,
Well,
I'm not saying all men cheat or anything like that. But I feel
Black
like if
men
you
don't
have I feel like if you have a certain level of access, and we know R. Kelly's history, we know at minimum he cheats.
Right.
So what are you talking about? What do you mean he told you? You knew.
You do. So you have you got high profile athletes, you know, that may cheat on their girlfriends or wives. They go crazy when they find out that their man is cheating on them. Like, do they have a different set of values for themselves, how they view themselves? Because what's the difference? Like, you told me you're going to cheat on me and I'm okay with that. All right, cool. Versus a person who's dating another high profile star and they go berserk.
Because some of us women don't pay attention to anything.
Well, here we go. And that's part of safety.
So she's like, oh yeah, he told me. He didn't have to tell you. It was common knowledge that R. Kelly was with other women.
But there it is. And that's what I'm talking about. Your core set of values and your values, your morals, boundaries, your standards. Where are they? Because I know for me, I don't care who you are. I don't want you cheating on me, and I don't want to share you with nobody else. That's my standard. So $1, $1 million.
So that means you don't go into a situation knowing that you're going to have to share him. Like R. Kelly, you know you got to share him.
But that's what I'm saying.
Not only with adults, you got to share him with children.
Oh, snap.
Oh.
And so she knew that.
And
she knew.
And just to take it back to the other episode, you know how much soul ties is going on right there? Oh. And that's why everybody is unhappy. And that's probably why the reason R. Kelly going through what he going through right now.
Well, he's admitted to his soul being tied between good and evil for a long time.
But he was in turmoil. Not even just soul ties, just the transferring of just all of the inner demons. Your inner demons.
Yeah.
Because in season 2, the second episode, the girl that braided his hair, she is going to disclose what happened between them in tonight's episode, but she was saying...
There's a tonight's episode? Mm-hmm. This is too much.
But she was saying that she
too much.
Was braiding his hair. She was so happy. She was like crying. She was crying on the episode saying, I was so happy because when I got home, I was able to talk and complete my sentences because I worked for R. Kelly. My family didn't want to hear me out. But because I worked for a celebrity, I was braiding hair for R. Kelly.
Wow.
They let me speak.
So what's the message there?
That's a whole self-esteem issue. That's a self-esteem issue. So it's like, oh, you with a celebrity? Forget the fact that she was 24 at the time. When did he start getting he was wearing braids, early 2000s? So we knew. The whole Aaliyah thing happened. Yeah. We all knew.
People knew.
But You with R. Kelly?
I don't care what nobody say. You know when somebody
And
having
braids-
sex in another room.
And braids wasn't even cute.
You can hear
He
it.
old with braids. I have an issue. If you over 30, you need to cut your hair.
But you can have dreads though,
You can
right?
have locks, but
Yeah,
you don't
okay.
be coming around with no cornrows, especially if they not past your neck. Don't be doing that.
They gotta be past your neck.
They need to be at least in the middle of the. They need to be like years in the making. Like, okay, I know why you don't want to part with your hair.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk about self-esteem, because self-esteem plays a big part in how women can get caught up into situations by not having self-love, not knowing what self-worth means, and when you lack self-care in that way, you have porous boundaries, meaning they're very loose, like not even like a rubber band. They just laying there, just
Like a wet shoelace, a
worn out rubber band, like
wet noodle.
a wet noodle. Absolutely, just like a wet noodle. And when I watch the series, it's like you can point out, not to nitpick. It was just to point out where you can see how he got them. Mm-hmm. I can see that.
You feel like all of them were self-esteem issues?
All of them I'm telling you, they were hand-picked. A perpetrator knows exactly who. How come we never been touched?
Yep.
We ain't been touched.
Well, no, I was about to confess I never been touched.
No, we can say here at this table,
no,
we haven't been touched as young ladies. You
But
know
I
what I'm
don't
saying?
think that's because of a self-esteem thing. I think that's because of I mean, self-esteem does play. I think it's because of self-esteem we haven't made certain decisions.
Right. I agree.
But as far as being touched inappropriately and stuff like that, I think that's because of the protection of
We
our
had a
parents
controlled
and what our
environment.
parents told us.
Yeah.
And, I think that was it because,
Right.
I think the self-esteem the diminishment of the self-esteem mostly comes into play after the abuse. Mm-hmm. That's when it's like a hit, like, okay, how did, I feel, I've heard people say, like, I feel disgusting. I feel violated. I don't know if it comes before, in the case of a child.
Right. But then again, a timid child, a shy child, right?
Does a shy child necessarily mean low self-esteem?
It can.
Yeah.
It can. They just haven't developed that sureness of themselves at that time, so I'm not saying every shy person has low self-esteem. However, a person who has a timid type of personality tend to not be sure of them. They may wait for confirmation. They may wait for praise to know that they're doing good,
But I think that's where, as far as from a child, I think that's where self-esteem starts, from
Yes.
being praised and
It
being
definitely does.
validated and
Appropriately.
being affirmed appropriately. Mm-hmm. I feel like, at least with the children, because we call it what they are, they were children.
They were.
The ones that were like, okay, I want to sing. Mm-hmm. Their parents was giving them all the praise. You can sing, baby. You can do all of this.
Right.
R. Kelly's here. That's your opportunity. Go forward and go forth.
Praise
and go.
without supervision.
Right.
They have to go hand in hand.
She down there right now with R. Kelly in the studio.
Smoking a cigarette. Yeah, girl, let me tell you. Let me try and call a phone going to voicemail.
knowing
What I
your
will
baby
say, in
going
the case
through.
with one of the girls, there was a lack of control and discipline, specifically with Azriel, because one thing her mother said was when they found out that she was in the hotel room with R. Kelly, and they was like, oh no, you got to come out. And this is when she was 17. You got to come out. You can't see him no more. Y'all need to let me see him, or else I'm going to run away. My mother would have punched me in my mouth, and I would have never been able to. I would have been homeschooled. I would have never left the house.
No one can
She
tell
would-
me I cannot see my child. I
mother
don't care
would
how
have
old.
stopped my mother. I could not have said,
I
I'm
would've
going to
kicked
run away if you don't do
the door
this.
down. I would have kicked the door in. I would have went to jail that day, the next day,
Yeah.
the following Mickey Ficky day, because you can't tell me the child that I bore and got these stretch marks for, bars, I can't see them. It's
I'm
not
like,
happening.
I could not imagine telling my mother, if you don't do this, I'm going to run away.
Yeah, I
and
would
she
have been.
ran away, and what happened?
Yeah.
Well, no, she didn't run away. They said go.
One of them did run away, though.
Oh, not Azriel, though.
One of them did
Yeah.
run away and left to go and pursue her dreams. And what happened?
Yeah.
These are the things that happen when you don't listen to your parents.
Right.
She tried to warn you. She tried to tell you, but you knew better.
Yeah.
You knew better at 17
At
because R.
17.
Kelly said he got your back.
Yeah.
He got your back, all right.
Yeah, and also it's important, and this is not the case for all the children, to have a strong father figure in your life. And in a documentary, there appear to be two fathers that one, two.
Yeah, about 3 fathers.
About
and all
3
their children
fathers,
still was taken.
and their fathers were still taken. But the thing is, there was one couple. I think one was a pastor, him and his wife. That story, they appeared to be under, like, they just didn't know. Like, their daughter pulled the wool over their eyes. They said, they laid the law down. This is not happening. You're not going. You can't, so on and so forth. And then she lied to them for a year. She hid it, saying that you're going to a friend's house. Well, here's the thing, right?
I feel like that's the worst, one of the worst ones.
It
It's like
is.
you ain't have no control.
You had
of your,
parenting.
You ain't have not even just that. Y'all don't have no control of your daughter.
But they
'Cause
appear to do everything right.
My parents knew every place I was.
That too.
They knew everywhere I was.
Now that's where my eyebrow went up,
Because it's like, if you are truly raising your children right the way you say they are, it should be no question. You should know. Your child should know where they are supposed to be. Granted,
But
children toe the line and all of that stuff like that. But it's kind of like, you know, yeah, your 2 parents, you were passing everything, but your daughter got the herpes.
She did.
Your daughter
check
had the
this
sex
out.
tape, so your daughter was rebelling against.
Was it too?
Your daughter was rebelling because you a whole pastor, so you got something else going all up in there.
So that's going to be another episode with religion and how strict religious goers can cause trauma to the household and to their children. But we're not going to get into that now. But that will be a later segment. The one thing I wanted to say about that was, she was out of town and telling her parents she was at a friend's house. That wouldn't have flew with my mama either and my daddy.
First of all, I didn't have a car. My parents was dropping me off and picking me
But
up.
I wasn't allowed to spend multiple nights out either.
I wasn't allowed to spend a night out, period.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't.
We
yeah.
weren't spending
I mean,
weekends
my house was
out.
a hangout house because my parents was like, I want to know.
And that was by design.
Yeah, they're like, we want to know who you hanging out with. We know where you are because you're home. Everyone can come here. Now, the fact that other people, parents ain't keeping track of their kids, they ain't got nothing to do with us.
Right. You're right about that.
But, and if you go into this friend's house, I have a relationship with their parents.
With the parent,
and I am dropping
absolutely.
you off, and I am picking you up. If you're going to stay multiple days, it's because we had a conversation with the parent.
And I'm doing a wellness check.
Right.
Hey, baby, how you doing? Where you at? Let me speak to the mama. Let me speak to the daddy. Where
But
they
for
at?
me, I was the type of child where I'm going to call my parents anyway. Like, hi,
Yeah.
I miss y'all.
Yeah. You right.
That was just me.
You right.
So it's like there's something else going on in there. Yeah, you the pastor of the church and everything, but there's a reason why your daughter was away for days and all of this stuff
they said
happened.
it was. They said they raised her very strict, and that's
Well,
where
there you go.
that's
that
a
did it.
problem, and that did it.
Too.
That did it.
So you see how we can kind of look at. They were all different parenting styles.
And that's the thing. There's no manual.
There
So it's
isn't
like,
a manual. You're right.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Teach
Hope
your
and
kids to be
prayer.
vigilant, especially these females. Now they kidnapping us all over the place. It's just ridiculous. You got to be extra careful
You gotta
nowadays.
be real careful.
Everybody nasty. Everybody looking for some type of sex somewhere.
Yeah. And you got to have that point of view, like what do you want?
Teach your girls and your boys to be vigilant about who they dealing with, what's around, their surroundings, all of that.
Yeah.
All of that, because it's just sad. It's sad to see what's going on with R. Kelly. It really is.
It is.
You know what I mean? Because he's a great musician. You know, and it's just sad to see him going down the tubes like this. It's sad that so many women's lives got destroyed.
You right.
You know, by his life being destroyed
Right.
from early on.
Hurt people,
was-
hurt
You know what I
people.
mean? It's like
He
an
was
ongoing
failed.
cycle.
Yeah.
Ongoing cycle.
And I'm gonna say the only people that don't have a responsibility in this is the victims.
Yeah.
Everyone played a part into
Everybody played a
everyone's-
part.
all the failure. Everyone.
Yep, I agree. And I don't think he should be the only one going down in the flames. I really don't. Because he had tour managers, he had everybody alongside him
Covering
that
it
knew
up.
what was going on.
Covering it up.
But then on the flip side, it's like, not saying it's right, but I understand the conflict between, do I say something and lose my livelihood?
Because that's your money.
Because this is what's providing for my family. Some people really battle with
Right.
that.
You know,
People really battle with that.
I have a difficult time because of the profession that I'm in, and I have a responsibility to snitch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
Right.
If I don't tell, it's my job.
Right.
You know, so like on the flip side, I hear what you're saying, but then again, I guess because of my training, it's like it's hard to think on that side of the brain because it's like, nah, I got a duty to tell. Like if a child is being hurt, that's my job is to tell. So if I take that hat off, you know, and I say, the question becomes now, what do I choose, me or that other person?
Right.
You know, and sometimes that can be a tough decision depending on the type of career that you're in. I mean, look, some of these actresses and actors aren't exempt from this. And Weinstein is hunchbacked over with a darn
He ruined
walker.
lives, too.
He sure did. And
He ruined lives too.
but there's a lot of people that need to have a smear campaign being done
against
about
them,
them.
too.
And it's not being done. It's quiet. It's on the hush. There's a lot of cults out here.
Because his money bag is still full. That's the difference.
There it is.
R. Kelly's, I think, is probably drained
It's
out.
probably about drained. So now it's time, you know. And, you know, we're not taking away from victims seeking justice. I don't know if money is justice, though.
It's not, but
It's not.
it makes a lot of things go away real quick and real fast. And is the problem dealt with?
Nope.
No, because look at where we are right now again.
Because the problem
with
isn't
R.
going
Kelly.
away. With tears.
And a lot of them were paid off and
Yeah.
signed non-disclosure agreements
Absolutely.
and everything
And
else.
that's
You
permanent
got
damage.
all of this money. You know what I mean? Did you seek help with the money? What did you do with the money?
But that's R. Kelly. He has a whole bunch of damage, and he's still very broken. Broken to the point where
Right.
he
He ain't
is
even fix
hurting other
himself.
people.
Yes.
Everybody, all
Right.
these women are casualties of his inner war.
Yep.
his inner war.
Yep.
So let's bring that back to how that inner war began. We talked about in the beginning of the segment how his first trauma was handled with the money exchange. We learn from the people who take care of us. I'll never disrespect
money.
nobody moms, you know what I'm
hush
saying?
money.
But at the end of the day, we do learn from our caregivers. And that was a very big lesson he learned. Unfortunately, it was, you know, to his demise, but he learned that lesson early.
Yeah. But I
Money-
think even with that, it's still that it's, from my understanding, it's not like they grew up, they ain't grow up like middle class, upper middle class. Like they wasn't. So not saying it was right for her to take the money, but she was probably like, all right, it was 5,000.
You know what I could do with $5,000?
Right.
Well, what was she doing before all of that?
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. I think it's
They were making it,
I think
I
it's
guess.
real
I don't know.
easy to say because I think it's real. It's a no-brainer to be like, no, I'm not going to take this over you violating this person. This money is not going to do it, or I'm not going to sit by and watch it. It's easy to say it when you're not in that position and you
You're
have
right.
resources.
Well,
And
people
you have
do it all the
access to
time.
resources.
You got children in Indonesia being sold, and their parents are selling them, thinking that they're coming to
Yeah.
America to work, and they are selling them into slavery, sex, you know, as a sex slave. You know, it's happening all over the world.
So when you're coming from a place of lack,
Yeah.
and you're lacking
Yeah.
basic needs,
Yeah.
you're going to do what you can to get more,
Right.
to keep yourself afloat. So I
Right.
and again, not giving anybody a pass for this. You don't know what you don't know.
You're right.
You don't know what you don't know.
And a person who claims to know everything knows absolutely nothing. You know?
you don't know. And then again, we're people that sweep things under the rug.
We are. That's our culture, to do that.
And pathology, epigenetics, all that stuff is real. You'd be surprised. His mother was probably molested.
His mother's
mother. Like,
you know?
Ongoing cycle.
Ongoing cycle.
Not being dealt with because it's swept up underneath the rug. Well, how big is this rug?
And sins of your father. You know, and that particular statement is like
his father could have been molested.
His father could have been the molester. You know, you never know how children come into this world. Like there's a lot of women who've had children due to some type of trauma, rape, or being sexually assaulted by a family member. And those children are now growing up with God only knows what on the inside, you know. And the thing is this, you know, there's no easy answer. We will never be able to answer these questions or give like full explanations as to why things happen. However, it's important for those people who have children or those people who are thinking about becoming parents, think very long about this process, because having children is no joke. It's not easy, and there's no handbook to let you know what's right and what's wrong. However, it is the task of a parent to push their child to be the best they can be. And when I say that, they don't have to be a singer, a rapper, an NBA player, an NFL player, darn it, a hockey or a baseball player. And if you got the talent, it's all good. It's all good. But arm them with something else. That's not what we all are, and that's not what we all have to be in life.
Education.
Our ancestors would be turning right now because it's like we're all molded into athletes, and that's it. Like you can't think. And
but you can run, though.
You can run, though. And strategic thinking, being able to think on your feet, being able to critically think is an important trait that needs to be nourished in all children, not just black children, all children. You have to learn how to think.
One thing I am super grateful and just thankful with my parents was that whatever I wanted to do, they was like, all right, try it out. They was like, all right, whatever you want to do. Whatever they saw, if they saw a gift in me, they made sure to hone in on it and kind of cultivate it. And however far I wanted to take it, they're like, all right, we riding with you. So had I been in that situation where, okay, let's say R. Kelly comes up, oh, I want to work with R. Kelly. What would have happened? My parents would have just been there all the time. And the moment he would have been like, your parents can't come, all right, you can't go. We just gonna have to find this out. Like, it's okay. You want to be famous. You want to be Whitney. You want to be Beyonce. Cool. Great. We're going to make sure we're going to try and make sure you get there. But we're going to be right with you this whole time.
And people don't always know what they're doing. You know what I mean? But you have to pick up a book and read it and figure it out. You know, we can't allow people to just lead us all the time. You know, you have to learn to fish yourself. You know, don't wait for somebody to feed you. Learn to get your own food. And that takes education. Learning how to be a good parent. Learning how to be a better parent. Learning the crafts. If your child is interested in music, get a whole entire book about the music industry. You know, and get a hood book about it too. You know, get an educational book, but also get a hood book to let you know that that game is just as strenuous and unforgiving as any hustle that's on the street. And that's why they say the music game is just like the drug game. There's no love.
It isn't.
As long as you're up, people are going to love you. But as soon as you hit the bottom, they forget you. So I'd rather be in a profession where I'll be remembered and not a one-hit wonder or anything like that, you know. But the thing is just to make sure that you also instill in your children, they don't have to be just that. Expose them to other careers.
I felt kind of bad last night, like finishing up that episode that came on, and one of the girls was like, you know, such and such can sing really well. Like, she has a beautiful voice. She this, she that, she the next. But it's like the trauma that happened silenced her voice.
Wow.
And then, they said
Like
she
she doesn't
tries
wanna
to sing, but
sing.
she doesn't want to. Like
She
the
doesn't have the
is not
passion or the
there.
desire or anything.
It's been ripped from her. It was taken
to do
from
that.
her, unfortunately.
And I think that's really sad.
it is sad.
I really do.
And they said that happened after she signed. She sought legal help from it, and she had to sign an NDA. It was settled, and she had to sign an NDA, and that's what did it. I went to get help. I went
Wow.
to say something.
Right. And you're still
Nothing
silent. And that's probably, I think that's one of the bigger problems about this thing, is that there were people that said something and nothing was done.
Yep. I agree.
People did say something and
And I think all of them should be held accountable in
Yeah.
some type of way also.
yeah.
Because you knew, you saw, you was there. You was there.
Or I'm a witness to it. You know, you can eyewitness everything else and people pay attention to it. But as soon as you talk about something that people don't want to necessarily listen to or hear because of the financial gains that they're able to get, they will sweep it under the rug.
Well, right, because
Or
when you have
financial
one,
loss.
when you have one person that is pretty much this is the person that controls your life.
Yeah.
So whether he succeeds or fail is the determining factor of whether you succeed or fail, which is the determining factor of whether your family succeeds or fail. It's like we got to do whatever to protect that cash cow, because it's going to be a ripple effect.
So I'm going to say this right here. Don't be a parasite. Have multiple hustles. Gain your own stream of income. It's cool to work with somebody or be their assistant or whatever you're doing, but you should also be able to create a knack for yourself, a lane for yourself, so you don't have to be a parasite or a leech.
avenue, yeah.
You know, because you're going to do whatever it takes to keep that going. And that's what a lot of people did.
The other piece that we're missing in all of this, as far as staff and the people around him, we also don't consider how they were mentally affected by seeing
That
the abuse.
too. That too.
So where people are like,
Yeah.
so what we're like, yeah, they should be held accountable.
That's
Do
traumatic.
you know how it probably, quite frankly, what kind of mind fuck that is to
It
walk
is.
into work and see the person you're working with,
Having sex with kids
multiple children at once
in different rooms.
in different rooms,
And
to
videotaping it.
And
or to
videotaping
walk
it.
into, forget all,
Or being
like, to
told
walk
to
into and
videotape.
you see multiple rooms and people are using the bathroom in
What?
buckets,
Oh God.
like,
You know.
and then knowing, because they're like, they're carrying out the whole, you know, because he's not the one going up to people like, if you tell, well, he is sometimes, but he's sending other people to say, if you tell, we gonna harm your family. You know, the fear that was probably in them. If I exit, if I say something, if he's talking about harming them and he was having sex with them,
That's a really good point.
what's he gonna do to me?
Never thought about it like that.
No, that's a really good point.
He gonna harm me too. Everybody is caught up in this whole
Web.
complicated web of
Right.
just manipulation, and everybody got caught in that cycle.
So
of
there's
abuse.
more victims to be added to that list, actually. Even though we may have the point of view like, oh, you saw, you was there, but we don't think about how they can be traumatized as well. That's a very good point. So you have the children, the women being traumatized, you have the workers being traumatized, whether or not they want to admit it, right? Because one of the bullets in PTSD is that if you have seen trauma, you are susceptible to being traumatized.
And I think that's what, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people believe that trauma is the person when they're
Right.
experiencing it. And it's like, no, if you see it, you can be traumatized from hearing about it.
Hearing about it, yep. Because it could be so disturbing.
That's why people are getting so drained from watching all of this stuff.
Right. I'm drained.
We were all trying. Think about all this stuff that was going on with the police brutality.
Yeah.
It got to a point where people were numbing themselves.
Right.
Trauma.
There's a lot of victims. And, you know, in this episode, we touched upon, you know, all the victims. Even though they don't have a name, we haven't called their names. And in the media, their names haven't been called. However, they can be seen as a victim. As you know, anyone who have seen, heard, or have experienced trauma is susceptible to being traumatized. And when a person is traumatized, there's no specific way for them to act. So that's why this podcast we can't victimize, victim shame anyone in this situation, because everybody reacts differently to different things. Some people can just avoid the conversation altogether. Some people may just stand there, but doesn't mean that they're happy to stand there. Circumstances may cause them to just, stand still in shock. Then some people can just brush it off as if it never happened. That's a way of dealing with trauma as well.
We can say the decisions that the girl should have made and what they should have did better, but the fact is anybody is susceptible to being sexually abused by anybody.
By anyone.
Anybody is.
Unwanted.
Just say something.
Sexual attention.
Anybody is. It's like, that doesn't discriminate.
No.
At all.
No.
And it's easy to say, in a perfect world, we can say, you should be able to walk down the street naked and not be touched, not be groped. In the perfect world, yes, but we are not in the perfect world.
We're not.
Guard yourself.
Guard yourself.
Be on guard.
Be vigilant.
Yes.
Protect yourself.
And then if something happens, say something.
Tell it. Sing like a bird. And don't worry about what people are going to think. Everybody always have an opinion. We have our own opinions.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, when it comes down to your safety and you protecting yourself and your
mental sanity.
Yes, your sanity. Take care of yourself and speak up. And don't stop talking until somebody listen.
Yep.
At this day and age, we have so many platforms, so many agencies where you can go and have somebody listen to you and you can get the support. Google is a very good place to start. There's no reason for anybody not to get help.
I'm also going to say this. Sometimes people do be lying. People do be lying about being raped and stuff like that. However, you kind of got to do the reverse. Believe the victim until proven otherwise. Just err on the side of caution, because that's happening. That's why people don't report it, because people don't believe them.
Because
just go believe it.
Right.
Take it and run with it, because not just to protect that person, but, by saying something, you protecting other people from getting potentially getting harmed.
But I'm going to say this, for those who lie, though.
Y'all got to chill.
You better not let me write the law on that, on how to deal with you.
You need to go to jail.
Because you do not have the right to defame someone. You don't have the right to take someone's livelihood because you thirsty.
Yeah, agreed.
You do not. We're not talking about people who are actual victims. We're talking about people who straight lie. Or if you do some type entrapment type joint,
lie because the night didn't work out the way you expected to,
or you didn't get the attention you wanted, so you lie.
Well, you ain't get that singing career that
you
child,
wanted. And then you lie. Not cool. So just to sum up this podcast, we just want people to take away that try your best to be proactive instead of reactive. For the parents out there, please take care of your children. Watch out for them. Love them. Let them know that you're there for them no matter what happens. Be accepted. Accept your children for who they are, because they're yours.
And speak up. Speak up. Don't let it go years before you decide to say something. Speak up.
Yeah.
I think it's just hard.
It's
just hard. It's easy. I think the problem with all of this is we're saying all this, but this is easier said than done.
It
like
definitely
you said,
is.
None of us have ever been touched inappropriately.
Thank you, Lord.
Right. Thank you for the hallelujah. But it's hard.
It's hard. But
and you have you got to come to an acceptance that it happened first, and then deal with all the emotion. It's a lot,
right? And that road takes a while.
Yeah.
So love yourselves, everyone. We're just speaking out to those who ain't got no name. Try your best to do right by yourself and right by your children by being proactive, by being vigilant, and being protective of you and yours. and try your best to make the best decision and not allow money or fame or any other thing get in your way of your moral character.